Hello and welcome to this video that's been kicking about on my computer for ages. We recorded this around about the same time we recorded Good Society, but actually slightly before that. It was our first test of the setup at the studio and my first test in editing. It's been delayed for a lot of reasons, but yeah, it's coming out now. It's 3 parts, Fate Accelerated game, which is kind of leading up to the bigger Fate game, the Fate core game, and that we ran, which is 7 or 8 episodes that's coming out later this year. So yes, this is like the first thing we recorded, or a very early thing that we recorded. So yes, this is Fate Accelerated, run by myself. This is just the first episode, just setting up the game. So if you don't know Fate, Fate has no setting or lore or anything. It's all explained in the video. But yes, this is our setup, and then the episodes 2 and 3 is us effectively playing the game as you might understand it more. But yeah, it gets all explained in the video. I will let myself get on with it now, and I will catch you again at the end.
Hello, and welcome to the game of Fate that I am running today. This is going to be the first, slightly longer, it's going to be a 3-part series. In theory, we haven't filmed the whole thing yet, we don't know, it could be a horrible disaster. But in theory, it's going to be a 3-part series on this channel, testing the setup for the upcoming Fate, the longer campaigns that I would like to run. We are running Fate, we're running a kind of a hybrid of Fate Core and Fate Accelerated, to be honest, because we're running a short game, so Fate Accelerated suits quite nicely for character creation, but I'm going to be dipping in and out of the complex rules of the Fate Core system. However, they mash up fairly well for anybody that knows those 2 games. They're just a kind of Accelerated is just basically a truncated version of the exact same set of rules. If you are unaware, Fate has no lore, no setting, and is very flexible in its mechanics. So in this first part that we're about to do today, we will be creating a game from scratch. We sit here now, all that we have is our collective imaginations and the junk drawer of ideas that is my brain, and we will be building something from that. We don't even know right now what genre of game we're going to be playing. That's going to be created as well. So yeah, we're very open at the moment. We sit here with no idea what we're about to do, just like everyday life. But I am Kristian's Brain, you're on my channel now. I will go around and all introduce the players to us. So to my right we have...
Hello, my name is Alex Maud, he, him. I am an actor, professional dungeon master, and proud loquacious nerd.
Hello, I am Jacinta Hunter, pronouns she, her, and I do a podcast called An A to Z of Sex with Men, which is all about sex and relationships, and it's really fun, so you should go to your podcast app and listen to it.
Hi, I'm Vic Corley. I use she, her and they, them pronouns. I am also a professional GM, but please don't hold me to that standard. I'm also an improviser, comedian and runner of the Vicky's World RPG podcast. And I'm just really excited to play Fate because it's my first tabletop ever.
But you started, is it?
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
quite intense. No, today is her first ever time.
Yeah, I've never done it.
She's been a professional DM. She doesn't actually know what she just like says, yeah, roll some dice.
I'm very
That hits! Yeah, that hits.
Shut up,
Sure.
Kristian,
like
you're
you
exposing the entire industry.
Need to make a goblin check?
Make a...
Don't hold me to the standard, that's why I said it. Emily, who are you?
Hello, I'm Emily Maybank. My pronouns are she, her. I am a writer and an actor and a partner in Polymorph Theatre. If you want to check them out on the social medias, I hate that term, I'm so sorry. Social media. We do cool things. We're hoping to have a show up soon.
Hashtag social medias.
Another
Social
show. It's not
yeah.
like we've never done anything before. We're doing another show soon. I'm going to shut up now. Kristian!
And this is my channel, so if you want to know who the hell I am, then look at all these videos. There's loads of them, probably in the suggestions and appearing all over the place. But yes, no, thank you for watching. So, like I say, we are running a Fate short-form RPG, a 3-part series, we hope. So, it's interesting that your Fate began the hobby for you. How did that come about? How did you skip the more typical game?
Well, many, many years ago, and I will give a shout out to the Abingdon Guild of Adventurers, who are a genuinely lovely, welcoming group of tabletop players and runners based in Abingdon, in Oxfordshire. I was looking for somewhere to get started with tabletops, and the first game I ever played was a world within Fate called Kerberos Club, which is like this Victoriana-inspired sort of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but you could be a far wider variety of different archetypes. And I just really loved how narrative it was. I thought, I know Victoriana, I want to go in that way. And it was really fun. I played a little clanky suit of armour called Pendragon, and he used to be a little bodyguard to the Fey Queen, to Queen Mab, but he couldn't remember that. He got a magic mace. It was great. So everyone else would be like, "Hurry to the sewers," and he'd be like, "Clunk, clunk, clunk, clunk." I love him. It's the problem. But yeah, so that's how I started Fate, and I really, really love it. It's very narrative.
That's one of my. It's probably my favourite system.
Yeah.
Emily, I think the first time you played is that a test recording that we did
That will never be
about a month
released.
ago. That unfortunately had too many faults upon it, too many technical errors, and also you guys were just terrible players.
Way to boost us,
It's a
Kristian.
very supportive environment.
Yeah.
I mean, that was your first time playing, right?
Yeah, it was.
And you guys haven't played it before at all?
No,
Not
no,
at all,
I haven't played
not
it
at all.
before.
Totally
Not at all,
new.
no.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been aware of it, but never actually sat down to play it.
Well, it is a very narrative system, so we'll go through a few of the ways that I like to run it. That's why I like it, because it's very narrative and the players have a fair amount of control. So it is a very narrative-driven game, and the players do have quite a lot of power, other than just obviously we're about to create the world together. Once we've created the world, of course, it comes to me as the GM to run it. But you do actually have quite a lot of power to manipulate the way the story goes. In that regard, I will have for my little hidey hole here, we have these poker chips, which are called fate points. So each of you will begin the game with 3 of these. If I can ask you to pass those out to your table, and Emily to pass these out to your table.
3 for me.
You will be spending these to give yourself bonuses during dice rolls, but also, importantly, you can spend them to manipulate the story. So you can spend them to declare a story detail. That can be something you might create an NPC or a location. You may create, say, essentially retcon your backstory or add to your backstory. Your character knows something specifically about this. One of the slight faults I have with D&D is that it's not possible for a character to be intelligent. A player cannot play an intelligent character. An intelligent character basically has the power to force the DM to monologue about something. So say, oh, my character knows this, I rolled, tell us about it. I prefer to run in this system. If your character is meant to know something about it, go with it. If you want to create lore for this world, go with it. If you are a cleric and someone asks you about your god, for example, if you want to just run with it and create some lore for your god, fantastic, I'm happy for you to do that. With the caveat that that is what your character thinks is true. I don't have to take that on board for it. I may very well be like, oh, this sounds good, yeah, that'll go for the world lore, but it's definitely what your character thinks is true. It might, of course, be wrong in that regard. But yeah, if your character's supposed to know something, then you may either roll with it, or I may ask you to spend a fate point or not. It depends how influential it's going to be on the game.
Will we be spending fate points in world and character creation?
No.
Okay.
And they reset, so at the second and third session of the game you'll have 3, and then you'll reset to 3 again at the beginning of the
Okay, but once you spent them, you spent them.
Once you spent them, they're gone.
Okay.
However, you can gain them back.
This was my question.
This is my stack of fate points. I may spend fate points against you. When I do that, you gain the fate point. However, you automatically fail whatever it is that you're about to do.
Oh, okay.
You may also, importantly, spend fate points against each other. It means that you may spend a fate point to activate something about someone else's character to cause them to potentially fail or to cause you to success at their cost. In that regard, the fate points swap between you. So you can create a fate point economy of passing them around the table rather than giving them back to me, potentially, but it'll be at someone's detriment.
Welcome to Fate.
It's really good. All right.
A few little philosophical elements I will say out. So in the interest of the yes-anding improv, my version of that is always say, don't write yourself out of the story. If I or another player passes you the ball, then run with it, don't put it down and walk away. If there's an element of the story that it seems like someone else wants to progress, or if I am offering to you, take it. Don't walk away. Don't say, oh, there's a big monster there, okay, I'm going to go have a shower. That's
It's not what my character
Exactly.
I think we're all very shy and retiring, so when none of us are used to hogging the spotlight at all.
Definitely not.
Not at all.
So the last thing to cover is, of course, our lovely dice. We are playing with fate dice, or as they were once known, fudge dice. They are 6-sided dice. They have 2 blank sides, 2 negative sides, and 2 positive sides. So when you roll them, the positives and negatives will cancel each other out, and you will eventually end up with a number between -4 and +4, with the average being 0. 0 is the more likely roll, just statistically speaking. What that means is that odds are what you will get if you're likely to roll a 0, odds are that your skill roll will be simply what your skill is. So you can sort of game theory it and say like, well, if I have this skill at +3, I'm probably going to end up with a +3 at the end of this. So you can try and work around and create elements that give you bonuses in other ways. So you'll be spending your fate points to either add 2 to your dice rolls or to re-roll your dice by activating things that are within the scene that we'll get to at the time. In that regard, though, you do have, everyone has a little whiteboard that you will be writing down specific elements on. So if you are creating advantages and elements of the scene, you will be able to write them down that you can activate. And I will have general elements that I will just write down and put here that everyone can activate, the ones that I have created. I did ask you before the game began to come up with a singular idea, something that you would like to see in the game. You don't have to have had one, you might come up with one now. But yeah, a concept that you would like to see in the game. It could be a person, a place, a part of your character. It can be world changing, it can be very small. I say on the chat that it could be as big as, small as I have a pet hamster and as big as I am a pet hamster. That's the range we've made. So it can be very simple, it can be something you'd like to see. I'd like to see lots of action. I like horror. You could add a theme or a genre if you would like, whatever you would like to see. Who would like to begin us? I know that Vic is definitely...
Right. Okay, so I would like death that in some way affects life. That might be ghosts, that might be a motivating afterlife, be it idyllic or horrifying. But I'd like death in some way to affect life. It might even be that everyone hears the voices of their dead relatives, or ghosts are real, but we freaking hate them. These ghosts, man, anyway, get out of here. They're like cobwebs in the attic up here.
I want that book on that shelf. They keep knocking.
Everyone just having a very inconvenient time with poltergeists. So that was my one. So I was wanting to see in our safety chat if anyone mentioned death as a trigger. We've not. Does that change for anyone now?
No, I love that. I love that.
Awesome.
I
There
love
you go.
that.
Yeah.
That's my one.
I think that works great with mine.
Yeah.
This world is already so good, and I'm very happy for it.
Is yours like period costume?
No, but if you're all happy for me to go next. So in my pitch for you, clones exist and are a totally casual thing. Like, it's just an accepted thing. If you don't want to go to work, whatever, you just get a clone and you have them do it for you.
It's pretty standard clone sending, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I imagine there's probably then lots of issues about then who has access to a clone, does it cost money to have a clone, do you have to feed all the clones, all that. But I think those are fun issues to have in
We've
the world.
got already though, are people using clones to avoid death for some reason?
Do clones die in the same way?
We've got some kind of tie-in.
Do clones have the same
Afterlife.
afterlife,
yes,
but also do
ethical.
clones have the same level of development?
Yeah.
Like, are they essentially just kind of relatively faceless automatons with only...
What I wrote down is clones exist like smartphones. Is that a fair assessment of what you want?
Smart clones. Smart clones.
Smart clones!
But are they... Okay, no, we'll find out. No, I'm excited.
Well,
So-
touch screen, please.
Yeah.
Stop.
I know.
So,
Enjoy that gif.
So, the second you were talking about that, Vic, the phrase that immediately entered my head was Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And,
Is that what you're going with?
I mean, I didn't have much of an idea for a world, or a world idea rather. But so I was just going to sort of bounce off what other people suggested. But I now have two things. One is Scooby-Doo, because just ghosts being real, and also if we have ghosts and we have clones as normal things, and yet somehow still have, you know, like a Scooby-Doo style investigation group. Like, I don't know, that just...
That's cool.
That strikes me as interesting.
Okay.
And the other, but the more sort of general idea I had was...
You don't get two. You only get one.
You gotta choose.
You gotta choose
You gotta
Scooby-Doo
choose.
or...
Well, we're still going to build the world together, so you
Yeah,
can feed
right.
any of the other ideas you have to the table. But this is an idea
These are
that you definitely want. This is our starting point idea.
Oh, right.
We're the only rules
We're still
lawyers
gonna- we're still
for
gonna
Fate
build
Accelerate.
There's still room for other ideas. Don't panic. But you want to have Scooby-Doo as your baseline idea?
Then that will be my offer. Yes.
I like it.
Okay.
My dear.
I love you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is so like.
This is why we
No,
sat them
stop.
a metre and a half apart.
That's why we can't sit
We're
next
not
to each other.
allowed to sit next together. Also, I would just remind you, Emily, that Kristian did explain the mechanic of using fate points against each other.
Ooh, I got some really great
Shuffle
views
back
right
on
back
the
at
Yeah, I know. I'm just.
Just putting that out there.
Anyway, Jacinta.
I would really like there to be a mythical flying horse that I at some point get to ride.
I love this. I love you. Never leave me. This is so good.
Ghost
There's clothes. There's clothes. I want a Pegasus and I want to sit on it and I want it to be very pretty. I love it. It's
Exactly.
so good.
Cool.
Exactly. Thank you. And I feel like that can fit into this Scooby-Doo
so good.
ghost clone world as well. A flying horse. Yeah. Like,
Can you clone horses? Because we could all have a magical flying horse.
No, that's where I draw the line.
I draw the line at cloning horses.
Cloning horses, that's just ridiculous.
but you know what the whole thing is? Because actually, there's only one Pegasus. So actually, this way we can make it that there are 4 Pegasuses. Pegasi.
Pegasi.
There we go.
Pegasus?
Cool.
Pegasi.
So it definitely feels like we've got the supernatural investigation angle is what we're leaning towards. We've got the concept of death, and then we've got this kind of Scooby-Dooing. So it seems kind of like, if everyone's cool with it, you're some sort of supernatural investigation team.
Love it.
Love that.
Nice.
I love that so much.
I think that's a fairly good starting point. Or alternatively, adding in the clones, your clones of. So if it's very dangerous work, then
We're
you
clones
perhaps-
of ghosts.
You never actually go out and do it in the field, so you're just kind of like locked in an office, but you send your clones out to do the work.
So
for
funny.
you.
We're the clones
Which
of
means
the
that-
supernatural squad.
Which means that in a paranoia-esque kind of way, you could probably die quite a lot.
I was going to say, because again, like, is it a case of, like, if are the clones, like, just as competent as us, or are they, like, dumb, basically?
Are they glitchy?
Yeah, or
I
it's
think
left,
clones-
left.
I think if ghosts are becoming a problem, and if it's not a relatively new problem, let's say, then the reason people started using clones is perhaps that clones don't have souls as such, so clones don't become ghosts when they die.
Love that.
So people have become very into and securing themselves against like damage and stuff. We'll send a clone out to do it, because if they die, it won't create more ghosts, because ghosts are out of control.
And they
It feels very COVID-y.
I like.
So all the people prime are in their little boxes. They don't
Yeah.
go anywhere. They
Yeah.
have their bubbles,
Yeah.
and then you send the clones out to breathe on people.
I feel like
Yeah.
the clones, like, just this also feels very like LARPy war gamesy, like just said, like you just build up enough resources to get a squadron of clones that you just send out to capture some territory. I don't know, but like the idea that the clones just kind of like dissolve into goo when they're done, or something like that, to make them sort of, very obviously not a corpse, or I don't know.
They are not humanoid. They are, more like a construct.
Yeah.
What if there's a government bureau de clone that has issued everybody with their own clone, and
Yeah.
so some people can afford to get more and develop different clones, but everyone as a basis has this government issue clone.
Yeah.
And some of
It's
the
like
clones-
health insurance.
Exactly, like everyone has a basic level of care, a basic level of clone, and then like that means that there's no excuse to not go to your job, or there's no excuse to not do your shopping or eat out, because you can send your clone, so you shouldn't be worried about the ghosts that are invading our streets. It's fine, just send your clone. But then that could also mean that there are everybody's got essentially like a good Android phone, but maybe there are some clones that are a little bit more developed, or a little bit less so, and then maybe I don't know. Can clones be possessed? If they don't have a soul.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, and I like that there's worker clones and then there's upper crust clones.
Yeah.
I like- I like-
luxury clones.
I like the idea that the ghosts, because obviously, ghosts can do stuff to primes, as it were. I like to think that they can't do that to the same degree that they can to the clones, but they can fuck with them a little bit. Like, kind of like the equivalent of like, oh, if a ghost runs through a clone, then like it's like a sunspot interfering with or a solar flare interfering with a radio, or like static on a TV or something, and
maybe the more complex and luxury your clone is, the more ghosts affect it, but we don't know that yet.
Ooh.
So like the closer to being just completely indistinguishable from a human in thinking and feeling and that kind of way, the more independent a clone becomes, the more easy it is for a ghost to get their claws in them. So we could maybe have a balance of like, some of the Supernatural squad have kept their clones really basic and they have bruises, but it also means that like it's not too hard to fix them up, and it's not too hard to sort of they don't get gooed all the time because ghosts don't really get to them. But you might have to like protect, like everyone's put their money in on this one really complex high-tech clone, but then we've got to kind of protect it because it's like an asset for the squad.
You go
Set on Andor. Okay, that's Alex's.
No, you go for like a sort of XCOM style thing, i.e. where you have like a squadron of like everyone, I don't know, in the agency has like 3 clones. Like, okay, we're going to send,
That's
Bruiser.
very paranoia.
As in like Bruiser Vic and like
Hacker Vic.
Hacker Vic and Mundy Vic, Sniper Vic. I don't know. Just like
Like they're all called Vic. I like this very much.
So are we like our human selves and our clones, or are we just our luxury clones, or are we just our human selves, or are we possibly
You'd be
everything?
presumably playing all, because you must control them remotely in some way.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
when your clones are out, you have to be plugged in.
have
Like
like a
playing-
VR
playing a
headset
video
situation.
game essentially.
Right.
I was
Okay,
going to say,
okay.
One and
reminds
the same in many ways.
reminds me of those film tropes of like you see soldiers on a battlefield and then one soldier gets shot and then it cuts to someone in a lab far away taking off their VR headset being like, damn it, get me another one.
I like
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah.
Cool. So in terms of larger world building, what was your other idea, Alex?
Just because I like this as like a trope or as an idea, but also thinking just like in terms of like the more sort of Scooby-Doo, maybe even sort of like slightly even Buffy-esque vibes here, like of it being set in a small town surrounded by woods.
Ooh,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Very spooky.
Yes,
like
spooky.
and like not like a village, a town with a population of several thousand, but like where one could ostensibly know like a lot of couldn't ostensibly know a lot of the town. So you've got, I don't know, Lakeside, the farmers market, and
Sure.
and the brass quarter or whatever, like it's.
So are you from this town, or are you going to investigate this town? For the town to be a setting?
Again, I liked the idea of it.
Because you could be a
Well-
branch of a larger government body that just happens to exist in that town.
Well, I was going to say, because like again, sort of throwing potential ideas out here, is it that sort of, is it like a proper government agency in which we are all adult employees, or is it a more...
Are you independent?
Or is it
Yeah.
more an indie thing, or like a more sort of, again, like again, this is pure coincidence that I'm thinking of this, but like Scooby Gang,
Yeah.
i.e., that's what they call them call the characters in Buffy.
There's something.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, on that front, can I suggest like Dad's Army style?
Oh my god.
Where like basically we're some of us, maybe someone's from the city over, but most of us have grown up in this town, and basically the government's put out the call to recruit people who maybe they wouldn't necessarily recruit to bring to the bigger cities, but someone's got to protect the home front, someone's got to make sure that the W8 Smiths in the shopping centre is not haunted so people can get their Maltesers. And so maybe there are better ghost hunters than us, but we very much care about this town. We're a little bit bumbly.
I'm in with that.
I was going to say there is an inordinate amount of ghostly activity in this small town. Like there is, New York or London or Tokyo or whatever, levels of activity in this town. So you've got to get people who know the town, and it's like, great. It's like, who did you get? Well, we got these chuckle fucks.
Yeah. We got the Vicar of Dibley Church Committee. All the advisors. Sorry, Emily, you were going to say something. What did you want to say?
Oh, mine was sort of in a different direction, but I'm happy.
No.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, so, I mean, if we have the government agencies are looking after the government-issued clones and all that, but also, what if we have discovered something nefarious about the government-issued clones?
Ooh, I like that.
And it's just like, they think, it's like NHS, and, it's so nice, and we're giving you all your own clones so that you can keep spending money and keep the economy going, but there's actually something wrong with it.
But we've all been tinkering with our own so much that they're not like. We've stripped away all the government issued.
We were doing some reprogramming or whatever, where we found the little red chip, and we were like, "What is this?" And we removed it, and then suddenly the clone was so much better.
I really like that.
Yeah, and maybe we started off as sort of like a volunteer home front gang, and then together we ended up investigating, and then
the government still thinks that we're part of them, but we're the one cell who's actually figured out the bigger picture.
Yes, exactly.
I like the.
We can resolve this in 2 sessions.
I'm gonna fix the world.
I like the idea that it's I get I don't know. I like the idea that it's a group of underdogs. It's it's that the plucky group of misfits. But then again,
all the big city ones.
I like that trope.
Yeah, all the big city ones have drunk the Kool-Aid and fully are on board with this, and we're the ones that they're just like, they're just the small town guys. No one cares what they do. And we're the ones who are actually uncovering.
They're just paranoid yokels.
You could split the difference and say that there was a government-issued unit in this town, but it either disappeared or was defunded, and you guys just kind of found their stuff. I'm just like, we could do this.
Well, someone's got to deal with it, so why not us? The gardening.
Because we are, this is either going to go brilliantly or terribly, because we are the skeleton crew.
Ooh.
Skeleton crew.
Good work.
I hate it, but I love it.
I'm writing it down.
That's my vibe.
Could we say that this red chip that we've removed is the thing that limits clones' agency? So that means if we're playing clones, we don't have to constantly be listening back at base. In effect, each squad can make its own choices and has its own agency. And then back at base, the prime versions of us, basically they're like employees, not soldiers.
Yeah.
So we give them a project and they solve the project on their own because we don't really know how to monitor them. We don't have a big setup. We're in the local library. We're upstairs.
Yes,
We've wired the computers together. It's like, could XP go into 94? I don't know. Let's try 95. I don't know.
Yeah. Why are there so many different letters of USB? C. I don't know.
Listen to this chunky clicky mouth though.
My phone doesn't plug into any of these. How do I charge it?
So I feel like just removing that, and then they do stuff on their own, and that's great. But I feel like also if we're ever going to play the clones from a player perspective, that also means that we can make our own decisions that maybe aren't ideal, and then we have to answer to the squad back at base. We have to answer to Dad's army, but we also have the chance to I don't know.
Okay, so you are the official base, but you're so badly funded that you're just basically a bunch of volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah. I think that's good,
This small town isn't worth our time. Just send them a few bits of gear and just let them get on with it.
Yeah, they basically don't pay attention to us, but if they did, they would think that we're still fully on board with their project. Yeah, we don't know anything.
Yeah, we're just stupid.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's try and name this town. Let's get this town on the map, as it were.
Are we thinking English town or American town?
Oh.
I assume English,
Yeah.
unless y'all wanna.
No, I
I don't know what you mean.
I was terribly sorry.
idyllic English
Yeah.
town, but
I prefer that. I think that fits
Something that
very
begins with
nicely.
something that begins with the word little or something.
Oh yeah.
Those funny little midsummer
Or-
murders.
Little Wombleton.
Or ends with on sea.
Yeah.
Little Wombleton on
Little
sea.
Wargrave on sea.
Little Wargrave on sea. Yeah.
Oh, I like Wargrave.
Well,
I
well,
was back in Wargrave this morning.
Well,
That was my whole
yeah.
trip.
I was going to say Wargrave is an actual place.
Yeah.
I know, I was there. It has one train platform.
like
The
the idea
trains
that-
go both ways.
I quite like the idea that because of our setting that the town has the word grave in it. Like
Yeah.
Graves Hill or something.
Little Graves Hill on sea.
Little Graves Hill
How
on
about
sea.
like Gravesmark? And then we
Gravesmark.
don't know
Gravesmark.
what grave was marked here, and then maybe that's why it's got
Like
such
comment
intense
to-
ghostiness. Maybe it's because it was like a plague grave. Because we've got a load of history of just us throwing people in a pit, being like, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh, okay.
God's looking after you now, sorry. So maybe, like little
Gravesmith.
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 Graves-
Yes,
I-
that's really makes sense.
Gravesmith is nice.
I like Graves Mark.
Gravesmark.
Because it has the actual graves mark.
I wrote down Graves Mark.
Little Gravesmark. Let's go little Gravesmark.
Spoke to
Gra-
me.
I-
On
Little
sea.
Graves
Great.
Mark.
Graves Mark on sea.
But it's actually nowhere near the sea, which is the joke. Sorry.
Or
Graves Mark on Thames.
yeah, I was going to say, or we just make up a river.
Graves Mark on Bookington.
So I've written down our overall issue.
I'm really good
the
at
overall
improv.
issue of this world already as the ghost invasion.
Okay,
whatever that
okay.
is. But we will need to come up with an impending issue. So something that you guys are specifically working towards now. It can be abstracted so that I can surprise you with it when the game proper starts. But just do you need a mission as such, or do you think that you're just going about?
There has been some sort of spike in activity in a certain building, like.
The Cat Cafe.
I was going to suggest a larger building,
It's a big
It is a
cat
big
cafe.
Cat Cafe.
We're talking tigers here.
I'm going with the cat cafe now. What we?
That's why there's so many dead people there.
I was just going to say like the town hotel or something, something with multiple floors or.
I sort of like the cat cafe because it's like it's so small and it feels like what our little volunteer group would go to, and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
it could extend. It
Yeah,
could then
yeah.
progress to the
like-
hotel. Like,
yeah.
If there's a full hotel, then maybe the government would actually
So-
care.
Yeah,
But the
right,
government's just
yeah.
like a cat cafe.
I'm gonna,
Really? Yeah, we
yeah.
don't need to fund this
It's just
anymore. You
cats.
guys
I'm
can-
going to write our impending issue as Haunted Cat Cafe.
Yeah.
Also,
What?
the cats are fine, they're just scared. Like, I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say
yeah.
the cats
Yeah,
are
no.
fine,
Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
all
yeah.
poofed
Yeah.
up.
The thing
Like,
Oh, no,
no harming of. Actually, I like the idea that the cats get on quite well with the ghosts.
No, I
Now,
was going to
hold on a
say
second.
I think the cats just don't give a shit.
No, the cats and the goats are friends.
hold on a second.
Yeah.
You know how we were like, it's easier to possess something if they have agency. What has more agency than a cat?
Yeah.
Ghosts can possess cats, maybe.
I don't want to fight cats.
Fair enough. And maybe that's some manifestation of a ghost that means we don't have to hurt a cat, but I just love the idea of this like imperious, fluffy, long-haired cat sat at the top being like, you never appreciated me when I was alive,
Yeah.
so now I will make you all suffer. But first,
No.
bring me a tin of tuna, freshly opened.
Yeah,
See,
I love
this
this character.
Yeah, we're doing this, but with the knowledge that we are not going to go in and kill the cat.
No,
that is not.
yes.
Yeah,
we're
that has
solving
to
this
be-
problem in
yeah.
a different way.
I would just like to point out this does essentially make all the cat characters Yzma
Who's that?
from
I see
Emperor's
that.
New Groove.
I see nothing wrong with this.
I haven't seen that film in a long
Also,
time.
the cat. It's like I think so far we've established. So far we've established the ghosts are like annoying, but they haven't yet seemed to be like evil or completely
Yeah, it's more that
malign.
it's very
like,
unusual
so it's
that
more
this
a thing
is
of
happening.
like
But
this
this
cat
is-
cafe can't make any.
It's one of those things
revenue
that feels
because
like
the
it
cats
could
are
be a
so-
problem eventually.
Yeah, but it's just like
Yeah.
It's more,
it's more like-
unfinished business, right? So I guess it's up to you, Kristian, to decide whether that unfinished business is just, I did want one final cup of tea with my son before I died, but he was delayed
Just
in
wanted to
traffic.
scritch
and
the cat's belly.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe the ghosts are there because their problems are all cat related. We come in and they're like, get lost. Our unfinished business is play with cat.
Yeah, or I just wanted more like attention. I just wanted someone to stroke my hair more. That's all.
My unfinished business was that I just hadn't had my head scratched in a while.
Cool.
I wanted someone drinking a latte petting me. Now I can go peacefully.
I love this, but I do feel like there should be some ghosts sometimes that are actively malicious or troublesome.
They'll have something to do.
I do like the idea that there's a range, though.
Yeah,
There
totally.
are evil ghosts, but then there are ghosts who just want to be a cat for a bit before moving on.
Yeah.
You know,
Can
you
we
just
have
want
one?
to.
Can we have like a ghost who's like a hamster that we like? We can't exercise you because all you want to do is run in that gosh dang wheel. You go ahead, and this is just a hamster cage in the corner of like the library.
Wait, is this
Our pet ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to say, is this a ghost? Is this a ghost of a hamster, or is this just like a human ghost who just wants to act like, or
Has
has
always wanted to
has
be
the
a
mental
hamster.
capacity of a hamster?
Yeah,
People
exactly.
who want to be hamsters exist. I'm sure.
I just feel like only humans could be ghosts. I think there are probably
Yes,
different things
yes,
that happen to
there's
animals.
a set little.
Yeah.
But like,
I like
this
that.
guy, we don't like. He's actually great. Maybe he's like, I don't know. He's tuned into ghost activity. So when the hamster wheel stops rolling, we're like, we've got another case.
But even if it's benign, then there's
That's
people.
cool.
I imagine it's kind of scared people out of into this hiding just because like, well, I don't want to become a ghost.
Yes,
I don't want to
yeah,
get killed
exactly,
because it
yeah.
looks strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's still scary. It's the unknown, isn't it?
yeah.
Beyond
Well,
the
it's like how there's everything is radioactive, but there's a difference between a rock and a depleted uranium shell.
Let's look at our characters now. So you've got your character in front of you. I'm gonna add up front the permanent aspect to the game that is from round here. So the way that works, you don't have to add it on your sheet or anything. It'll be in play. So the way aspects work, we're about to go through this in a second, is they are things that you can spend your fate points to activate to affect your dice rolls. Now, in regards to dice rolls, generally you are considered to be the heroes of this story. You are the main characters of this story. The story will not happen without you. You're not simply reacting to the world. The story is about you guys. So you are generally considered to be fairly competent. So whatever you try to do, you will generally do. You will not have to roll dice unless failure is interesting. If failure is interesting, then I will ask for a dice roll. But generally, if you say you want to do something, you can just do it. So you should feel free to narrate yourself doing something and assume you're going to succeed unless I interrupt you.
Okay.
Okay? You can. If you're a thief, you can pick a lock to escape a room with no problem. If you're a thief trying to pick a lock to escape a room because the room you're in is on fire, might need a dice roll on that because failure would be interesting. Alright, so I think we've got a pretty solid world idea and we've got a story arc. Going to be a haunted cat cafe story arc. Quite how that's going to play out, I'm not sure, but we've got a starting point.
Meow.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll move on to character creation.
Got a very good feline about this.
I'm
I
going.
can't stop talking about
Do we?
This is the show now.
Given that we all have clones, will we have a total of 9 lives?
I don't know. I'd have
Copycats.
to read. That was way better than what I was going to say. I'm humbled and silenced. Please continue.
Yeah, let's get our claws into this.
That's the name of this series now. Is copycats.
Yes. Yeah. Done.
All the cat copies. It's just a mix and mess.
I almost feel like that should be our group name now, the Copycats.
Yeah,
Like characters.
Or the name of the mission. Like one of you takes a point of pride in creating up names for the missions, and the name of this cat cafe mission is the Copycats.
Yeah.
One of us has to be the blogger.
Everything. Oh my gosh, yes.
But
That's
slowly
it.
tapping
Call it.
away.
Or alternatively, you have the person who names the missions and staunchly refuses to put any sort of level of pun in there at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've talked about the dice. We're going to talk about aspects for a moment here, because your character is made up of aspects as well as other things. But I'm adding to the table the free aspect of from round here. I'll put it out. It'll be out and available for everyone to use each game. So the way an aspect works, you can spend a fate point to either add a +2 to your dice roll, or to re-roll all your dice. But you're then stuck with whatever you've rolled. So if you roll a -4, that's bad, obviously.
+2 post-roll or pre-roll?
Post-roll. So you can do these things post-roll. Or you can set up advantages, because aspects will have a limited amount of usage sometimes. Like I might assign that you can only use certain things once. You can only use your personal aspects will only be able to activate once. So you may want to spend time to create advantages instead that will give more permanent additions, but you have to do those before you roll. It'll all make sense, a little bit more sense when I kind of
So
explain.
you can only apply your aspects once per roll. Is that
Once
right?
per roll,
Once
yes,
per
yes.
roll. So it's not just
Not
once per
game.
game.
Right, fine. I was
No.
going to say.
But aspects, however, aspects created in scene might only have a one-time usage.
Okay.
Because they might can be useful. So if you had an enemy surprised, you might have surprised as an aspect that you can depend on. But once one of you has done it, but they're not surprised anymore, so it's a one-time only use. It's a simple example.
Would a hypothetical example of an advantage be like putting or improvising an umbrella in the rain, for instance, so as to, if one wanted to try and start a fire and like...
Okay, I
like,
think I see what you mean.
You know, like, quick, I take this tarp and like pin it to the wall so it's acts as a makeshift umbrella.
That's more of a thing of if logically you could do that within the scene, then I'll just let you do that. Like I'm not going to hinder you that much on those kinds of things. And creating an advantage is more either it's going to be a temporary advantage or a more permanent advantage. It could be something that you are doing to affect the scene. It could just be you noticing something about the scene. You could say, well, I'm going to create an advantage to notice that this room has loose floorboards. And suddenly we've got the loose floorboards advantage aspect in the scene that people can then spend fate points to trigger in some way later on. Things like that.
Cool. But we don't need to spend fate points to create advantages.
That's the action you are doing. Creating an advantage is an action instead of whatever it would interact with the scene.
Right.
So it can be a thing where a task will have a set difficulty level, but realistically, only one of you necessarily needs to roll that. So the other three of you could be like, okay, well, we'll try and create advantages for whoever's going to make that roll. Just one way it can work. Sometimes things will have a set level, and I will tell you what that is in advance, so you know what you're trying to beat. Or I'll be rolling dice, particularly if you're fighting an enemy. I will tell you what the enemy's bonus is to that, but I won't roll the dice until after you've decided what you're doing. So there's a little bit of gambling in that regard. The other thing, before we get to the aspects, because that's kind of the bulk of it, you've got your approaches. So each of you have got 6 approaches. They are careful, clever. Rather than stare off to the side, why don't I just put this sheet in front of me? Your approaches are careful, clever, flashy, forceful, quick, and sneaky. These are the way you are doing something, your approach to a task. You will have one of these at +3, 2 of them at +2, 2 of them at +1, and 1 at 0, that being the one that you're not particularly good at. So when you are doing something, the roleplay part of this would be simply that you would do it in the way that you are best at. So if you are best at being careful, you will try and have careful combat, for example. You will try and position yourself in a secure position. You'll be slightly better at defending yourself. If you are better at being quick, then you will try and do your combat as quick as possible. Forceful, you're just going to rely on brute strength. Flashy, you might be trying to like talk your way out of it. Clever, then you're going to try and spot some way to eliminate the enemy in a clever way. And sneaky is you're probably going to sneak around the back and stab them in the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's just a narrative way for you to flavour your actions. In Fate Core, you have a list of skills, bit more similar to the D&D style or other role-playing game styles, but this is a bit more of an abstract kind of approach. Your approach is how you will be trying to do things because you're better at certain things than others. So yes, as I say, one of those you'll have a +3, 2 at +2, 2 at +1, and 1 at 0.
Okay.
That's what you add to your dice rolls. So consider that. But you can start doing that now if you have a particular idea in mind as to what you want to be best at doing.
Okay.
But it might come up organically as we do the rest of character creation. So now here's the interesting part. We're going to come up with your first 2 aspects, your high concept and your trouble. So your high concept is a single line, a single sentence that essentially describes your character. It is how another character might describe you to somebody else. The example, I think, from the book is there's a module for Fate which is like the Dresden Files. So some of the opposite of the book is like low-end wizard detective is kind of like one of that. Could be a high concept description of your character, or like destined vampire slayer, or just things like that. Whatever it is that describes your character in a succinct way. There can be a lot more to your character than this, but this is how somebody might describe you. This is something that you will be spending fate points to activate as well. So it's important to remember if your high concept is destined vampire slayer, then if something about vampires comes up, you might go, okay, well I can spend a fate point to give myself +2 to this, whatever this role is, if it's knowledge about vampires, finding vampires, hunting vampires, killing vampires. It's just as long as it relates in some way to your concept. So you want to keep it kind of open, not too specific. But you can spend a fate point to activate it to, as we said, give the +2 or re-roll your dice. So yeah, this is your description of character. Your trouble, on the other hand, is something that you might be able to activate for your own benefit, but it's probably going to be detrimental to you. It's the thing that I'm going to activate against you. And also, you can voluntarily act it against yourself in order to gain a fate point from me. I will still give you a fate point, even if you go like, you know what, I think I'm going to fail this because of my trouble. I'll be like, fair enough, there's a fate point for you. So yes, this is your trouble is the thing that causes problems in your life. It can be simple as alcoholic, it can be complicated as the Red Hand Gang want me dead. Something that's going to potentially trigger, and you can trigger each other's troubles as well, like I say, passing fate points around between the group. All right, does anybody have a character concept in mind? The Scooby Gang.
I briefly do.
Yeah, go on.
I would like to be a wannabe influencer. So I have a blog, and not gonna brag, but 72 people follow it.
Oh my god.
Sounds like a brag to me.
I have
but-
72
Yeah,
followers,
wow.
you guys. That's so many more than 10.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
very
that's
influential.
a good percentage of the population of the town.
Yeah.
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 I hate
71.
and love it already.
And can my trouble be something as simple as always wears impractical shoes?
I got a lot of impractical shoes.
Uh-huh.
Have you never seen Die Hard?
So how do you want to word your your high concept then?
Wannabe influencer?
Wannabe influencer?
Nice.
How do you think you're gonna be able to play that to your benefit? I mean,
In influencing people.
Influencing people.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that she only has 72
do you
followers.
know who I am?
But they are 72 really dedicated
Yeah.
followers.
Yeah.
So if she maybe pulls up something on her blog and she needs quick local knowledge, she's
Okay.
oh, is anything happening at this place? And then she'll get comments back being like, yeah, I just saw this happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, put wannabe influencer brackets 72 followers.
Yeah. Nice.
72 loyal followers.
Loyal
That's
followers.
Very
It's like
connected followers.
you have that little pool of people that you might be able to draw on.
Yeah, there are people
ally
that
shipping.
genuinely anything I post, they have notifications on their phone for. They've
For.
clicked that bell.
Yeah.
That's what the bell does, right?
I don't know. I don't know why you're asking me. I don't know
You
why.
know things.
That's actually fascinatingly psychic for what I'm going to pitch for my character.
Segue.
So I would like to be a meticulous heritage enthusiast.
Wow.
I would like to have set up the one and only Gravesmark Heritage Museum, which is a rented lot on the high street. I'm always giving out flyers to new exhibitions and fascinating stuff. I found a Roman coin the other day. You must come and see the Roman coin. So I'm thinking sort of a professor type where I just am fascinated by everything to do with Gravemark and its history. And for my trouble, I'm sort of torn. But I think my trouble might be that belongs in a museum. But it could apply to anything. Basically, I'm always thinking about the success of the museum over everything else. And I can't afford to digitise it. And frankly, I don't know how to digitise it. So I'm constantly thinking well, this could be a really relevant sculpture, actually. It's just a plant pot. No, but the terracotta, you see, it's fascinating. So that's my pitch of having sort of a slightly older, probably my main approach will be clever, but I think maybe my second one will be sneaky.
Ooh.
Because you're stealing things to put in your museum.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, no
That's
one
how the
goes
museums
outside anymore.
Yeah.
No one goes outside anymore, and I have a heritage grant that was £250 in, but that was in 1994. And any day now, the heritage inspectors might come by and ask me what I'm doing. So I have to keep this museum going.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, no, sounds
love
good.
that, I love that.
Okay.
Indie Granny Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
This side of the room.
Okay, well, I think my character lives in a camper van in the woods, just next to the village, and is really into foraging. So I'd like my high concept to be something to do with, I don't know, self-sufficient, forager, something.
Self-sufficient local hermit.
Yeah, because I'm probably
Is
quite.
hermit the right word? Someone look up the word hermit. I think that's the right word.
Is that someone who just hangs out on their own, right?
Yeah.
Like
So
I
lives
like.
outside of.
In the
Yeah.
Victorian era,
Society.
people used to pay people to live at the bottom of their gardens as hermits, like when they had massive fabulous, because it was just like a decorative hermit was genuinely a job. I kid you not. You could just be a wailing man. I kid you not. Look it up. I'm serious.
Wow.
Look it up.
The decorative hermit.
Decorative
hermit.
hermit.
So I think hermit is fine. Hermit implies more like isolation. But
Yeah,
it's not-
yeah.
but I also don't think like it doesn't sound like you're in poverty. So I think that like
No.
I
I
think the
think.
self-sufficient's a really good one.
Okay, self-sufficient, forager,
Homesteader.
homesteader,
ooh, cottagecore.
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 Campervan core.
Campervan core.
Uh,
Forage core.
Forage core. Self-sufficient.
Apple core.
do you have a trouble in mind? 'Cause
Yes. Trouble. Well,
it sounds like you're a bit of an outsider.
yeah, and also I don't wash very much.
I love that Kristian was like, "Oh, maybe you were bullied or thrown out of town." You're like, "I smell." That's what's fucked up about me. That's what's fucked up about me. I don't shower. I'm a stinky little rat man, and I live in the woods. Exactly. Kristian's like, "How about an emotional connection?" You're like, "Rat man."
No, washing. No. I can no, but yeah, no. I'm a bit of an outsider. I don't. You know, I like some people, but like too many people all at once is like a bit much. That's why I like to retreat to my space.
Sure.
So maybe a smelly outsider.
there has to be some variable of like not being like ready for. Not societally acceptable, but that's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be like...
May I offer a
Yeah, you may.
suggestion of a phrase?
And
Smells like a wet badger.
that's way too specific. I think it's better to be
Does anyone
vague.
smell wet badger in here? It's just the rat man.
That's right.
What about, like, have you been in the woods so long that you actually don't care what anyone else thinks? So, and that makes it like, I mean, no one's gonna like listen to you for safety advice, but also like,
Yeah.
it means
I'm probably
people.
people are also like a bit like scared of me when they see, because I'm like, I haven't, I've never brushed my hair. I've just throw on whatever I can find. I smell.
They're very determined to have the smell.
Are we the only people you interact with on a regular basis? Like,
Yeah,
literally, you come into the library,
Yeah.
you talk to us,
Yeah.
we deal with clones
Yeah.
and ghosts and everything,
Yeah.
and then you go back to your...
I was going to say, like, how does a woodland hermit become a Scooby-Doo / become a Scooby Ghostbuster?
I love
mean-
reading, and I have to research my books from like foraging and mushrooms and things. So
But also, like,
You were just in the library one day and
Yeah.
we were meeting and you were like, you said one thing, we were just like, we must adopt this rat man.
you just needed a fourth person.
and I just happened to
We're
be.
with the Bureau de Clone, and they're like, and who's your fourth member? You cannot be a task force without the fourth member. You there, in the foraging section. What's your name?
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
We adopted you,
Yeah.
Perfect.
somewhat against your
I like
will.
that. Okay.
And if you want to put the word stinky in there somewhere, it's perfectly allowed.
Trouble, stinky
So,
little rat
yeah.
person.
Stinky little rat person. No, what we saying? I don't. What,
So non-conformist of some kind, isn't it? So
Yeah,
it's sort of like
yeah.
you're not conforming to the ways of showers.
yeah. Non-conformist, scare people.
You could be like a
Society-
unsettling nonconformist.
Unsettling non-conformist.
Society smells.
Yeah. Not me, it's society.
It's
It's
society,
you all
yeah.
that's wrong.
Stinks.
Okay, unsettling non-conformist. Brackets. Stinky.
Stinky. Like, just so you know, it's in there.
Yeah, I know.
Right, Alex.
So the vague sort of general character archetype that I came in with was something against type, which is just like someone who's not the face of the group, not loud, just very quiet and non-confrontational. And the
It feels like, no offence to everyone else's characters, this group might need a brains.
well, Well,
How dare you! I say, how long have you run a heritage museum for?
On the ghost
Dead
situation.
things, old things, outrageous.
well, like
Get out of my museum at once.
my concept phrase was, it's sort of a mixture of two. I call it panopticon in the chair.
Ooh.
So like he's like, so panopticon in the sense that he can see everything, and also kind of the mixture of guy in the chair. So like he is sitting there with the sort of complex rig and is like sort of looking at everything and sees is very familiar with like the town and like has an almost not necessarily eidetic memory, but like just like knows, has that sort of obsession with the local town and so on and so forth, and is very good at sort of like that knowledge and coordination and stuff, in a sort of, again, kind of sort of single-minded way. Like he just sort of I'd like to think he's sort of gone through life not really quite ever fitting in or knowing what he wants to do, and then it's like, oh, I've just slotted perfectly into this thing. This is the thing I'm good at. And I think that the trouble that comes with that is that, again, I think he's very, very shy and very, very non-confrontational. So I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. Like, like cripplingly non-confrontational. Like, as in, if someone says something he disagrees with, like, he might be able to be like, well, maybe we should do this. It's like, no, we're doing it like this. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So
Makes sense.
like, I hesitate to use, because I don't want to, necessarily create that sort of impression, but like I'm almost envisioning in that sort of slight on the spectrum sort of idea, of being, again, I know that's a stereotype and I mean no offense if I have done, but like, again, that sort of just hyper focus on one thing, but is maybe due to being sort of
probably quite likes the isolation overall.
Yeah, or like being a loner, and again, I probably imagine he's like, is probably the type of person to build his own PC rig and like, so forth, and plays games and that sort of thing, drawing upon real experience. What I'm talking about. But then now that the general trend is, people stay inside and send their clones out to do stuff, he's kind of sort of okay with that, and he's, I don't know, maybe he's like, again, found a way to get multiple clones to do different things because he's good at engineering them or something. I don't know, like,
That's cool.
because you mentioned, Emily, earlier, the idea of like finding the red chip and removing it.
Your expertise there.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah,
Okay.
concept is panopticon in the chair, and trouble is cripplingly non-confrontational.
Can I flavour your trouble
No.
to the sentence, they probably don't need my help, or they probably don't need me in some variant of
Oh, that's heartbreaking. I love it.
Yeah. That's so mean. Click, click.
that? It's kind of like, you're helping, but like, yeah, they'd probably be fine without me. It's kind of like, yeah.
Maybe you're
Even though it's not true.
Maybe you're like the IT expert at the library, you just volunteer or something, and then you're just usually the one just like plugging stuff in, so when everything goes wrong, we're like, we've got the one IT guy in the village, that's fine, or the one IT person in the village, and so that's like the most people approaching you for your help you've had.
Again, I kind of feel like, like he just, all the other jobs he's had has been kind of very, like, just, like, yeah, I'll do this, and again, not sort of much interaction, and not particularly glamorous, very sort of, dull data entry style work. But now it's like, oh no, I found something I'm really, really good at and I can help with. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what to do, but I think maybe your character's +3 is they're careful. Maybe.
I
Unless you want to just go clever.
I was thinking either careful or clever for a +3.
But either works.
So I've got a +3 in clever, but you can definitely as well, because I feel like our knowledge bases are really different.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
I've got
yeah.
like history and local knowledge. We've got what's going on actually in the town as gossip. So I think like knowledge of like tech and clones and like that kind of tech side. We could go either way, right?
I was going to say, I like the idea that like he's probably never left the town, so he just knows it really, really well.
Clever works then.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I don't know, either he's like been out for a lot of solo walks, or
But I
followed Google Maps, or sent his clones out to scout or something. I don't know.
But I would suspect that you've at least got a 2 in careful, and you probably don't have anything.
I actually do. I was
Oh, you do?
handling like careful artifacts. and
Okay,
stuff,
thinking
like,
that way, sure.
Bringing like Roman pottery and stuff. That's actually maybe just like a bit
Thinking
of
more of
flip.
a dexterous thing.
But I was genuinely considering swapping careful and flashy that I've got +2 and +1. If I'm also going to be like maybe local, maybe I'll reflavour mine to be like a local tour guide as well. Whether or not you want to be taken
very
on a local
enthusiastic
tour
about the
guide.
local area.
So maybe I'll swap careful
I was
and
just
flashy.
trying to go to the shop.
Have you seen this beautiful Georgian frontispiece?
It is Georgian, I guess. I just want the
Marvellous,
eggs.
really marvellous.
Do they sell eggs there?
Do you know what? I'm going to swap my sneaky and forceful.
What are you thinking about skills?
Oh yes. Sorry. So how many? What's the
So
ratio?
a +3,
Yeah.
+0, and then 2 each of +1 and +2.
Okay. So I think being a forager, I'm probably very careful, but also I could be sneaky because I need to like.
Yeah, you maybe taken things from places you shouldn't have at some
Yeah.
point. Just like snuck
Yes,
into.
sneaking to people's
They
homes
don't
and
need
things.
this.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Just
don't want to
let-
like disturb the local wildlife and whatever, So I don't know which one to whether like. So we've got a couple of carefuls.
Yeah.
Have we?
My
I think-
careful's now +1.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I swap things around.
I think my forceful is +0.
Sure.
Forceful is my +3.
Oh, there we go.
We clearly need
Yeah.
someone who's actually good with people.
Yeah.
Very high.
Yeah, I'm going to take a +2 for sneaky. What's my +0? I'm not flashy.
No, you're definitely very much the opposite of flashy, that's for sure.
Yeah. I reckon maybe forceful can be another +2, and then clever and quick can be +1.
Okay. Anyone else, any thoughts?
I've got my clever at +3 for my knowledge stuff, but also like just I feel like they're a little bit not backhanded and too sneaky, but definitely like ambitious and always wanting to sort of push the museum forward.
Yeah.
So I feel like the clever kind of overlaps with that. Forceful and flashy I've got at a +2 also to reflect that, and then careful and quick at a +1 because I think they do have to be slightly more like acting on impulse and get into this because it might be the opportunity, and then my sneaky is +0 because I don't think that there's any point in sneaky around. This is my town.
Yep.
Emily, what are you thinking? You're forceful,
My forceful is +3. My quick is +0. I will take my time. You're not gonna rush me.
in your impractical shoes.
The shoes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then I put +1 into sneaky because I feel like she's not very subtle, which is why she has a +2 in flashy. Careful and clever, I needed 1 + 1 + 1 + 2. These I have not figured out yet. I feel like I would like her to be clever.
I'm just going to say up front that I am going to be using your impractical shoes trouble as in a slightly abstract way, as in you're just generally quite an impractical person.
Absolutely fine. I've created this whole backstory in my head for her now, and I'm very sad about her. But she's great. She's totally fine.
She's fine. No issues at all.
No issues whatsoever. Everything is fine and happy.
She has
and dandy.
72 friends.
So you have...
I'm very disappointed that you chose 72 and not 3 less than that.
No, because that's too obvious.
Really?
72 is like a good random
She's
number.
a mommy
yeah.
blogger.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. general kind of ages and positions and things like that we haven't really covered that. We haven't got.
Sorry, before we do that, just because I'm
what's your?
I'm trying to decide on my. So I've gone for +3 for careful because he's very meticulous. +2 to clever, because again, very much a brains over brawn sort of thing. +0 to forceful, +1 to flashy, because I feel like it's stuff that to those who would know it would be impressive, but to most it just looks like click, 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 click. And then I'm trying to decide between quick and sneaky for the other +2 and +1, because I like having +2 for quick, because I like the idea of him having very fast fingers and fast reactions.
And fast thinking.
And fast thinking. But I also like the idea of +2 to sneaky, because he blends into the background very easily.
He tried to avoid people as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's the most wholesome use of sneaky.
Just someone just suddenly goes into a shop completely unnoticed and just appears at the register like, whoa.
or it's like, whilst everyone else is arguing, it's like, how do we open this door? Or, done it. How the hell did you do that?
Yeah.
And it's just
we forgot you. Oh, we forgot you were here. Sorry.
It's just a keypad. It's easy. So I'm trying to decide between those two.
Okay.
It's constantly stealthing, but unintentionally.
Unintentional.
Well, it's what I refer to as like social stealth.
Yeah.
There were only 4,200 combinations possible on the keypad, and obviously they did this first. And obviously they did that, and then.
You can see that the 5 has been
slightly worn down. It's like millimeter
from the oils on their hands.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know between quick and sneaky.
So it's an old keypad, you say. And it's been in Graves Mark the whole time, you say. Well, let's pull out a crowbar and start with. This belongs in a museum.
Well, this belongs in a museum. I love it conceptually, the sneaky thing, but I also think just quick goes so well, and that you just be like, think about something like, oh, we're here, they're there, oh, boop, 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 like in Sherlock, where he's like, see the map, like, I kind of feel like that.
And again, I like sort of the concept of the panopticon, having that, like, not saying necessarily need this, but it's just that sort of hackery sort of image archetype of like, having all the dozens of different screens, Minority Report style, and bringing them all together and observing 50 different cameras at once. So okay, I'll go for quick then. Thank you.
So you will notice on your character sheet you have 3 other aspects. Now these don't have to be filled out now, and they can be positive or negative. You can add them in during gameplay. I'm going to suggest one, however, for Jacinta. I'm going to suggest your first of your other 3 aspects is some variation upon the magic horse is real. With an exclamation mark.
Oh my god.
So you are
I'd forgotten about the horse.
Absolutely convinced that you've seen a flying horse in the forest outside of town, amongst all the other weird things. And the fact that there's all these ghost activity and other supernatural stuff, and that no one believes you, is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like obviously the ghosts are annoying, but I feel like I'm sort of almost unconcerned by them, because I'm just like so like
you've seen gnomes and fairies, all sorts of things living out in the woods.
I live in the woods, exactly. I know. Okay, that's another reason I go to the library, is to try and research the magic horse.
Is that another aspect? I live in the woods.
I live in the woods.
We've all heard about the magic horse.
I do actually like I live in the woods as an aspect.
You can have that.
Should I have it?
If you wanted
to. I mean, don't.
But you can add these during play if you would like. They can also be items or locations that are significant, or indeed NPCs. You can have the aspect of, say, my mother always has a hot meal ready, could be an aspect, and so you have kind of this base of like your character's mother who's always ready to like take you in and be like, look after you if need be, things like that. So they can be locations, objects, people, or they can just be elements of your backstory, such as the magic horse is real.
But we can only have 3 additional aspects.
You only have those 3 additional aspects, and you don't have to add them now, like I say. Okay. You're also going to have stunts. So you can have up to 3 stunts. Again, you don't have to add them now, you can add them during gameplay. But they are ways in which you are allowed to break the rules of the game.
Ooh.
The example one is you might have an assassin stunt, which means that you are allowed to use your. So in Fate Core, that might allow you to use your stealth skill instead of your fight skill in combat, because you are an assassin. That might be the stun, or it might just give you a blanket +2 to whatever you are doing. So it might be eidetic memory. You always have a +2 to clever when trying to recall things, for example. They tend to be very specific and situational. But yeah, they can give you a standard +2 or a bonus to your role in some way, or a ability that your character has that allows them to interact with the game in a way that other people cannot. And again, don't add those now. You can add those during gameplay as they come up. You can be like, oh, we really need someone to be able to do this. Oh, it turns out my character
Can do this, yeah.
used to be, a champion roller skater and can perform this specific roller skate based task.
and that's where my love for impractical shoes began.
It all comes together in the end.
Oh yeah, you thought I meant high heels? No, I meant shoes on rollerblades at all times.
Put on the skates
Going
for
over
winter,
the gravel
though.
path, like on this. Yeah.
The last thing I will cover.
She just has like she wears a mech suit, but only from the knees down.
The last thing I will cover on your count sheet is at the bottom. It is your stress and consequences. So when you take stress, you will take it in levels. You can take up to 3 levels of stress. So if you take a level 2 stress, you must fill in a box of at least level 2.
Okay.
If you take a 1, you can fill in any box, but level 3 has to be at least the amount of the level of the stress that you have just taken. If you cannot fill in one of your boxes, you have to take a consequence, and a consequence is a negative effect, such as a broken leg or severe trauma, or yes, things like that. So they will be relevant to how you have to play your character and how your character. So if you have a broken leg, you can no longer run. You are no longer quick. I don't care how fast your quick score is. You ain't running nowhere with a broken leg. That's kind of the situation. Okay. So they will inform your character. They reset very slowly. Your stress boxes, the 1, 2, 3 box, will reset at the end of the first session. However, your consequences will simply go down 1 box, and only if they have been treated in some way.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're stuck in the woods with a broken leg, you're probably still going to have a broken leg in the next session as well.
And is it a case? Do you dictate where the consequence goes in terms of mild, moderate, or severe?
It goes where you can fit it in. So how much stress? If you take 6 levels of stress, then it has to go in the severe. But basically, if you've already taken a mild and a moderate and all your boxes are full, and you take 1 level of stress, it has to go in your severe because it's the only box you have left.
Right.
Okay.
So the stress boxes are essentially just like cross off.
Yes, cross off the box when you take the stress. But you have to cross off a box of at least the amount of stress you've taken.
Right,
so you can't cross off box number 1 if you've taken 2 stress.
Yeah.
The stress will often be the difference between your dice roll and whatever the task is. So if it's a level 6 task and you only roll a 4, you might take 2 stress, particularly in combat. Sometimes it will just mean that you fail. You're not always going to take stress, but if your character is going to take some kind of physical or mental damage, as it were, you will take some stress from the act.
So hypothetically, if we were to take 4 stress in one hit, we would then immediately fill in a moderate consequence?
Yeah, because you can't get any further than that. You can't. Right. I haven't got the boxes for it.
Yep, just double checking.
Okay. No, that's helpful.
And then if you've got all your boxes filled and you take more stress,
you die.
Afraid so. That's what the clones are for, don't worry.
But then you become a ghost, then can we come back as a ghost?
Yeah. You do, however, unlike some RPGs, you do have a significant amount of plot armor here. I am not trying to kill you. You can also voluntarily eliminate yourself from a scene to avoid death. It means you can no longer participate until that scene has ended. It also means that the consequences, I kind of get to decide unless somebody else saves you. But you can voluntarily eliminate yourself from the scene in a narrative way. You can't say, no, I'm going to bow out. You might just say, no, it turns out the floor gives way and I fall through to the other floor, so I'm no longer in this fight. You are unconscious and probably badly hurt.
I'm going to spend a fate point to say I was in the bathroom.
But always have the bathroom point.
The bathroom point.
You can avoid death by voluntarily eliminating yourself from the scene.
Could we, hypothetical scenario, like, I've just been shot in the shoulder, but I was on the helipad, so I'm going to remove myself from the scene by jumping in the chopper?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or you can just simply fall unconscious.
Yeah.
It means that you no longer have control of the scene as a player.
Yeah.
So you're going to I hope it turns out well, thanks to the other players. Hope the other players do much better than me. But yeah, so you can relieve control of your character essentially. So we're going to work on filling out these character sheets. I'm going to step away and I'm going to write down a little story idea for us based on this lovely world that we have created.
Oh, exciting.
But is there anything else anybody wants to cover before we wrap up this first episode of this game of fate?
I'm very excited.
I'm just excited, yeah.
Can we just confirm that our crew is called the Skeleton Crew?
Oh yeah,
this
absolutely.
is
The Skeleton Crew.
the copycat mission.
Yeah. The Skeleton Crew copycat mission, yeah.
And there's a colon in there.
Perfect,
Yeah.
We do.
The skeleton,
Write it down.
like the skeleton crew is like the name of the show, and then Copycat is the title of the episode.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got names. We haven't decided on names yet.
If you want to name your character,
okay.
and I have that ready for the start of the next episode.
Fine,
I
okay,
think
perfect.
we'll figure out names and descriptions, and we can introduce
Perfect.
everyone to the beginning of the next episode. So
Nice.
The only thing I've changed from character development is instead of my trouble being that belongs in a museum, it's that belongs in my museum.
Nice.
Cool. Well, thank you for
Thank you.
joining me for this setup. Let's see where we end up in part 2 and 3 of this little series here. But now, Kristian of the future will come and he will give us a little outro so that it's hyper up to date.
Hello, Kristian of the future!
Hi, Kristian of the future!
Thanks, past me. Yes, that video was recorded ages ago, so I genuinely didn't know where this channel was going to be by the time it went out. I think that might have even been recorded like just after the channel was started, or maybe even before it started. It was a very, very early recording. So yeah, a lot of things have changed here. Channel's doing okay. Please do like and subscribe. Check out our Ko-fi page if you want to donate to us. Everything is appreciated just to keep the roof over our heads. I'm going to be pushing a bit more on that over the coming months. But yeah, please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Share it around. Check out our Good Society 3-parter that we've got on here, as well as the Nice Marines one-shot and anything else that we have on this channel. If you enjoy the actual play content. But yeah, check it out. You can join our Discord server as well, which is down below. I'm going to start making that a little bit more active, and if you want to keep up with the live events and things that I'm doing. But yeah, thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for part 2 coming out next week. The end.